Hi there! This bag was made about 10 years ago. For a long time I just used it now and again, but for the past 2 years I take it with me wherever I go on a daily basis. It was made to be very sturdy and I've already put it to the test a couple of times, including once when I transported several heavy dictionaries that weighed about 8 kilos. But it's made with merino wool, which is very soft, so the constant rubbing of the bag against the clothes caused the pattern to wear out. Of course, I wanted to save it, so I decided to try a solution that I knew in theory could work. And it did. And that's exactly what I'll be showing you in today's video. So stay tuned. You might lay your wool carefully and make a resistant felted piece, and this bag was made to be very sturdy, but if you use it often, it's bound to wear out, especially if you work with extra fine merino wool, which is very soft, and that's exactly what happened here. On this side it's not as obvious, but it also needs a little repair. There's also a bit of pilling, which is normal, but we'll have to clean it. But essentially what I wanted to show you today is how to solve this problem. Now, after the piece is completely felted, it's very difficult to get the new wool to attach. So that's what I want to cover in this video. First, let me show you how this happens. I normally use it on this side. See what happens? It rubs against this area. So the first thing I'll do is remove the pilling with a fabric shaver. Mine isn't a very potent one, but it'll do. I'll clean all the spots where it's pilling. These are mainly the ones that come in contact with the clothes. So now do it on both sides. And that's it. The bag already looks better, and now we can see more clearly the worn out pattern on the side as well. But it's completely clean now. This also shows you that it's true that felt doesn't have to be washed often because of wool's capacity to repel dirt. And it's super solid as well, as you can see. It can carry 10 kilos without a problem. Now that the pilling is cleaned, I'm going to use this. It's a metal brush I've bought in a hardware store several years ago. I'm not really sure what these are originally for, but I bought it to do exactly what I'm going to show you today. I'll use the metal bristles to loosen the fibers a bit to help the new wool attach to the already felted surface. What you have to do is comb the fibers so they lift up. Now this is the first time I'm doing this. I theoretically knew it's possible, but I have never put it to the test. Hey, it actually looks great. I love it. The surface becomes all hairy. Okay, so I've done it in all 4 directions, but only because it's such a thick felt. I don't think this is a good idea if you have a delicate or a thin surface, because the brush lifts a big amount of fiber. I'll do the same on this side, but a bit lighter this time. I'll clean this afterwards. Now I need some wool in the pattern color. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same, but at least it's close enough. I'll use a needle holder with 6 thin needles and another one on its own. I've grabbed a felting foam that I'll put inside so that I can needle felt without worries. Now I'll comb the fibers in the right direction. This is a bit fiddly, and as I said, it's also the first time I'm trying it. Now I'll felt a bit, only on the orange area. As you can see, it's difficult to make it felt because it is so dense and thick. I'm going to pull thin wisps of purple fiber and start applying them. I think it's not exactly the same color. There also may be a small difference in the dye when you've bought the wool at different times, but it's close enough to allow me to repair the bag. Now use one needle to attach the pattern. Of course, this is going to come out on the other side, but it's a small price to pay to be able to use the bag again. Work with very thin wisps because that'll allow the new fiber to better attach to the felted one. And add until you've recovered the pattern. In this case, it was a pretty thick layer. But this happens to be an easy pattern to repair. If it's a complex design, of course, it won't be as easy to solve. Now I'll really work on it. Needle felt as much as possible to attach the fibers well. Then the wet felting will be a lot easier. Now I'll define the edges of the design nicely. As always, when you're working with felt, this takes some time and some patience. And it's done. It's stuck to the foam, of course. Let me just try to show you what it looks like inside. The purple fibers have come out on the inside layer, of course, but that's not a problem because what I really wanted was to save the bag. So in my opinion, it's not a big deal to have this on the inside. Now I'll repeat on the other side of the bag and then I'll wet felt. Okay, so now I'll do the wet felting. As usual, I'll need some bubble wrap, a towel, soap and some water. And this is one of the few cases where I'm going to work with hot water, in fact, with boiling water. Why? I usually work with cold water because I don't want the fibers to felt very quickly. But that's not the case here. I've prepared everything, so what I actually want now is that they felt as quick and as compact as possible. So I'll apply water on the needle felted area. And go slowly because it won't absorb the water immediately. Add some soap. As you apply the soap, the water starts going in. Now it's time to start rubbing. Rub in the direction of the fibers and preferably first on the orange and then on the purple. This way, the fibers that aren't well attached yet won't mix because we want very clear lines. Now I'm not telling you to skip this step because it's necessary to attach the new fibers properly. But one thing you can do after wet felting is to put the piece in the washing machine along with your sweaters. This machine washing will give this new felted area a wavier surface because this rubbing causes this part to become a lot flatter than the surrounding areas. This, of course, only works if your felt is strong enough for the washing machine. That's the case for this bag. As you can see, even though I'm using hot water, it's still taking some time to felt. But it's normal because we have new fiber and underneath a very compact felt. It's always difficult to make it stick. Now it's okay to felt in the opposite direction. Just rub it for a while. And you can also turn it inside out. As you can see, it's a really thick felt. So you can also rub on this side to help the felting process. So it's done on the inside, so I'll turn it inside out again. I'll give it a final rub with more energy now. And it's done here. I'll do the other side and then I'll wash the whole bag with hot water. So I've washed the bag and it's now dry. As you can see, it's felted perfectly. Even on this side that was more damaged. So it's ready to be used again, and the next time I wash some sweaters, I'll put it in the washing machine to get back this wavy surface on the new felted bit. If you have any questions about the subject, you're welcome to post them below and I'll do my best to answer them. And if you want to hear my tips and tricks on wet felting, come join the newsletter at www.vandafsousa.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.